What is going on, everyone? Welcome into Big Time Football Talk. So I got a big show here today. I want to talk about a few things, college football related, and we'll get to some NFL draft talk. I got a mock draft coming up for you, the top 10 picks. The draft order is set in the top 10, so I want to break down my 2021 NFL mock draft. This is what the teams would do, and I also do not have any trades. I was thinking about doing trades, but I like to do it without trades because, trades are just so hard to predict in real life when it comes down to it. So I want to start the college football playoff, and I know you know me. I love the college football playoff games. These are just so fun to watch. Most of the time, they're really good games, and you get to see the top players and the top teams, even though they're similar teams. Bama and Clemson are in there. Ohio State, you see a lot of familiar teams. But, I think me and along with a lot of people called this that Bama was going to roll Notre Dame. This is, I think people have kind of doubted this Alabama team. Not like doubt them, like say they're not national title worthy, but doubt them in the sense that they don't think this is one of Saban's best teams. I think this team is right up here as one of Nick Saban's best teams at Alabama, which is saying a lot because they've had so many great ones. 2011, 2015. 2015 was loaded. 2011 was loaded more so on the defensive side of the ball, but still a very good team. And, the offensive line for Bama is so experienced, and you saw one thing that was key for Alabama this year is they've stayed healthy. So, Notre Dame fought hard that first half. If Buck doesn't throw that turnover and they go down and score on that drive instead, they could have made it 21-14. It could have made it a little bit interesting. But, Bama controlled it, and I think there never was really like a big doubt that, Bama was going to win the game. And Najee Harris, just as a freak of nature, is so good at just, running with such body control. He just, is always falling forward, just always making cuts, just so hard to bring down. And you've seen just the work he's put in the offseason. And, it's really paid off. Came into Bama, didn't necessarily play a lot as a freshman, just kept working hard and knew he was going to get a shot, and he has really shined. Devontae Smith, a big game, 3 touchdowns. Devontae Smith, what can you say about the guy? The guy is just flat out productive. I think when it comes down to the combine, he may not have necessarily the wow numbers, but bottom line, a team that gets him is going to be very ecstatic because he's a guy, that has a tremendous work ethic and is just, going to be productive. And at the end of the day, all the numbers at the combine are great. But, productivity is so big at wide receiver. You look at guys like Jerry Rice, Michael Thomas. I think, those are big names. Those are big names to live up to for Devontae Smith. But you know what I mean? The production should be high for Devontae Smith when he heads into the league. So, but, Notre Dame, this is too bad because another time on a big stage where they were, kind of blown away. But, credit to Brian Kelly. This is a good football team, and Notre Dame has been a consistently strong program. Like I said, they're a second-tier program trying to break to the first tier. But, Clemson, Ohio State, how about the way Justin Fields and the Ohio State team came out and played? I think there's a lot of people that really believe Clemson was going to take care of this game. I was one that I thought Ohio State could win, but in a close game. And Justin Fields just came out and just played a monster game. It only improved his draft stock. And Trey Sermon, how about Trey Sermon these last 2 games? I think he's a guy that was really undervalued what he did at Oklahoma. Back-to-back years of 800, 900 years in Oklahoma. Just a strong physical running. His running has really helped them become very balanced and has just made defenses really guess because it's hard to tell what Ohio State wanted to do. They stayed so balanced, and their offensive line played tremendous. I think Ohio State, their offensive line this year and last year, has just played so well. And, also without Harry Miller in the game. And a couple of those throws that Fields made, just incredible. And, Clemson's defense, I've never seen their defense, really get beat like that. But I don't think they really wanted to tackle Sermon. And they just, Clemson was struggling to get pressure, and Fields, a couple of those deep balls, one to Wilson and Olave, and how about the tight ends, Farrell and Rucker getting involved. Just a great team win, team effort from Ohio State, and, their secondary played a lot better, a unit that was really doubted in that game. So credit to Ohio State. Ohio State versus Bama. We'll talk more about that game, preview that later this week in the show. But so excited for this game because, this would be one of those games where you just see plays being made, and that's what I just love about these playoff games. It's you got Sermon come on, he's breaking tackles, he's running through guys. You just see the playmakers really shine in these football games, and it's just awesome to watch. And Najee Harris versus the Ohio State defense. You got Sermon versus the Bama defense, Fields versus the Bama defense. Just such great matchups to watch, and it'd be awesome come January 11th. So when people were doubting Justin Fields, I wanted people to remember one thing, that there's another guy drafted last year, Justin Herbert. If you remember, what were people saying about Justin Herbert? Well, he had a few bad games. But I want to remind people something. When evaluating quarterback, especially in today's game, Fields has, number 1, arm strength. Number 2, mobility. Number 3, he's got the size. When they have all the skill sets, good character, good competitiveness, which Justin Herbert had, a lot of times that will likely win out in the NFL. And that's the thing. I think people just wanted to nitpick Herbert and Justin Fields, because of a few bad games. But if you look at the whole body of work, they were very good in college, were consistent for the most part. And you look at Fields, doesn't throw a lot of picks. And that's the thing. Bad games will happen. But the thing that remains the same is the physical attributes are there. The size, the arm strength, the speed. And if you look at all, the NFL is heading that way. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, mobile quarterbacks, the size, the speed, the strength, Josh Allen. So I think Justin Fields fits that mold in his work ethic, his ability to, want to learn. I think Fields will be a great NFL quarterback. And, on my big board that I haven't released yet, I think you could make a case. You could put Fields over Lawrence. I think Trevor Lawrence has just I think most people have just plugged him into that number 1 spot just because he's been so consistent as a freshman. Burst onto the scene 2018, and you'll let him to the national title. But it'll be interesting to see what the Jets do at number 2. But Justin Fields, that's the thing. It reminded me so much of Herbert because don't forget that, if you want to get down in the Northwestern game, you want to get down on the Indiana game, remember one thing. Justin Fields has all the physical attributes, the character, and, the competitiveness and the work ethic to succeed in the NFL. And I think those things will overcome in the NFL. I think that'll give him a chance to be successful in the NFL unless he goes to just a horrible franchise and, a bad coach. A lot of things would have to go against Fields, I think, for him to not succeed in the NFL. Bottom line, though, with those attributes, he has a superstar potential, and I think Fields will be awesome in the NFL. I think he'll be an outstanding NFL pro quarterback. So let's get straight to it. The NFL Top 10 mock draft, as you saw yesterday as the NFL games unwinded, you saw the top 10 come into place. And, this is just such a fun, exciting time as you get to talk about who's going to go in the top 10. And because, that draft order set, you'll see this, change a million times. The combine will affect it, the NFL free agency. But without further ado, at number 1, Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence. The bottom line is, Jacksonville rumored to get Urban Meyer, which would just be incredible. And here's the thing, in Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence would have playmakers around him. James Robinson, one of the better rookie running backs in the league this year. Also, DJ Chark at wide receiver. And this is a young defense that I think can, improve next year. You still got Josh Allen and K'Lavon Chaisson. And the cornerback from Florida they took, C.J. Henderson. So a lot of excitement for Jacksonville. This is a team I think that has been a sleeping giant. You saw they were so close a couple years with all those studs on defense, but Doug Marrone out. If you bring in Urban Meyer, you bring in Lawrence, you get some excitement down south in Florida, and playmakers around Lawrence for it to chance to succeed. So at number 2, New York Jets, Penei Sewell. It sounds like the Jets aren't going to move from Lawrence, so Sewell, you might as well get you a potential likely franchise tackle in Sewell. Last year, if you remember, they took Mekhi Becton. I think they just want to secure the offensive line. And, getting 2 stud tackles is just, crucial for Darnold. Give him, time to, sit in that pocket and give him some good protection. So Penei Sewell is the pick here at number 2 for the New York Jets. Number 3, Miami has a guy staying in the city of Miami, and that's Gregory Rousseau. Rousseau, if you remember, opted out this year but had a monster year for Miami the previous year, double-digit sacks. He's got the size, the speed, and I think he's a guy that's just going to test freakishly at the combine. I think he'll move up to this 3 spot. And the Dolphins with a great opportunity to get a stud pass rusher here at number 3. At number 4, the Atlanta Falcons. This is where Justin Fields comes off. And, Atlanta would be such a fun situation for Fields because he's have some weapons. Not sure what they'll do with Julio Jones, but they'll have Calvin Ridley still there and, Hayden Hurst at tight end. Atlanta would be, just a fun team. See what they do with Todd Gurley. But Justin Fields, I think, is a good fit in Atlanta with playmakers around him. And, Atlanta, Matt Ryan getting up there at age 35 years. So Fields is the pick. At number 5, Cincinnati, taking Alex Leatherwood. Bottom line is Leatherwood has been a consistent tackle at Alabama. Nick Saban's had high praise for him. And, the Bengals need to protect Joe Burrow. You see he got hurt this year. And, Leatherwood will be a great pick to secure the other tackle position. If you remember, 2 years ago they took Jonah Williams. He missed the 2019 season but was healthy this year and pretty solid for the Bengals. So like the Jets, Cincinnati's trying to build up that offensive line to try to protect the franchise. At number 6, the Eagles, we have them taking Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is a freak of nature at linebacker and chose to opt out for Penn State. But the bottom line, last year when he was healthy, he's just an incredible sideline-to-sideline linebacker, just makes plays, was a former running back, had a monster game in the bowl game against Memphis, and, will get the Eagles some athleticism at the linebacker position. So that's a pick for Philadelphia. Receiver could have been in play here, but they took Rager first round last year. I just don't see him taking receivers back-to-back in the first round this year. Number 7, the Detroit Lions taking Devontae Smith. The Lions, looks like, I don't know what's going to happen with Galladay. I don't know if they'll trade him or move on from him. But Devontae Smith, productivity. It looks like Lions could potentially keep Stafford to get them a guy that'll Stafford can rely on to be productive, and Devontae Smith is the pick. At number 8, the Carolina Panthers taking Zach Wilson. Bridgewater, I know, is not going to be the long-term answer in Carolina, and Zach Wilson has a great skill set and a tremendous talent from BYU, put up great numbers this year. And Carolina comes in with Zach Wilson next year and Matt Rule and, potentially Joe Brady still there, and a chance to be a prolific offense, and Zach Wilson get an opportunity to play early if this pick is the case. Number 9, the Denver Broncos taking Patrick Surtain, corner from Alabama. Broncos just need some help on defense, and you get them a solid corner like Surtain, and that'll only just help their secondary and help keep this defense improving. Have Justin Simmons at safety, and they have so many weapons on offense that Denver, I think defense is the pick here. Surtain, get them some help in the secondary. At number 10, the Dallas with a classic Jerry Jones pick, Rasheed Walker, tackler from Penn State. I think Dallas wants to improve the offensive line again and get back to having some running lanes for Zeke, and also give Prescott or whoever quarterback next year, Dallas, some more time in the pocket. So Rasheed Walker, the pick, the talented tackle from Penn State at number 10. So next episode we'll talk about my big board, and but so much fun the NFL draft talk because there's a lot of scenarios. I think this year, if you guys want me to do one with trades, comment down below. But this year, I think you could see several trades because I think there's a chance you could see Wilson, Fields, and Lawrence. All three quarterbacks have a good case to go in the top three. But, people always want to move up in draft quarterback. It seems like their value just shoots up. And, the combine would be so fun to watch this year. So I just can't wait for it. And, that'll be super fun there. And so next thing I want to get into is the Texas Longhorns decided to move away from Tom Herman. And this is a move that I thought was pretty much inevitable, but, it was still a solid year from Texas. But I think the bottom line is, Texas, credit to them, they still have high standards for this program. They still have not won the Big 12. He's beat Oklahoma just one time. And the thing is, I think they saw that Herman wasn't the answer to get them to the next level. So good decision by Texas to move on. But, Sarkisian is the offensive coordinator for Bama, is rumored to be the guy that replaces looks like that deal is in the works to replace, Herman as the next Texas head football coach. And if you remember, this is one of those hires where it's just such a 50-50 shot, I think, for Sarkisian to succeed. Because if you remember right, Sarkisian has had issues as a head coach. There's a lot of guys who have success under Nick Saban as an assistant coach, but then as they get a head coaching job, they're just kind of, you see Jeremy Pruitt just been okay. Kirby Smart, one of the exceptions for assistants under Saban to do well. And, McElwain had some success, but the bottom line is some guys I think are just meant to be coordinators. Like Lane Kiffin has been okay when he's got head coaching jobs, but their offense is good. I think that'll be the case with Sarkisian. I don't think he's the guy to take Texas to the next level. I think they'll get them competitive on the offensive side of the ball. I think they'll have a fun, well-coached offense. But I think with a guy that's a coordinator like this, it's to see him having like big success at Texas, getting them over past the Oklahoma hump, getting them to winning Big 12 titles and competing for a college football playoff is something I don't see. But it should be an interesting hire, and it'll be interesting to see what he does with the Texas offense next year if this deal gets done. But Sarkisian had some issues off the sideline at USC with alcohol or whatever. But I wish the best for Sarkisian. I do think he is a great play caller and has done a great job when he's been the assistant for Nick Saban. But it's kind of I wouldn't say it's not a sure bet hire for Texas like Urban Meyer would be, but we'll see what happens there. So. And the last thing I want to touch on close to home is I'm not going to elaborate a big time on this because it's just frustrating to me, and I just kind of just moved on as Michigan has extended Harbaugh through the 2026 season, and this is just the bottom line. This is just settling. Harbaugh just really achieved none of the big goals at Michigan, and I know that's just been beaten to death. It's like beating a dead horse that has just been reiterated over and over. The 0-5 against Ohio State, 3-3 against Michigan State, no Big Ten titles, and just a poor record against the top 25, the top 10. But it's I guess they're giving Harbaugh a chance to kind of clean house this year. They move on from Down Brown at defensive coordinator. But it's just like if it's not through year 6, when is it ever going to be? And, it's just Michigan, like Texas firing Herman, Michigan should have a higher standard than this. It's just like if none of our goals have been met through year 6, you gotta have some standards at some point and be like, you know what, we can try to find someone else who can, achieve some of our goals. Harbaugh just, hasn't done that. And, at least Tom Herman beat his rival at Texas. So I just thought I'd touch on that. And, it's just too bad as a Michigan fan seeing a program that many Michigan fans have grown to like because they've held themselves to such a high standard, really settling for a coach who, Harbaugh have had respect for because he's had success with the 49ers and Stanford, but, the goals just have not been met. And, that's the thing. I don't know. You become a fan because you know that Michigan had such a standard of excellence for years, and it just seems like a move that they're just settling here. So that's the last thing I want to say about that is that it's just really they're settling, and Michigan not having these standards, and Ward Manuel and the AD just not having the guts to move on from Harbaugh, even though he played there and played for Bo there and had success as a quarterback, but. That's my take on that. So, the last thing I'll touch on, the good job congrats to the Cleveland Browns defeating the Steelers to get into the playoffs, something they haven't done since 2002. And the Cleveland Browns, I think, are a lot like almost a team like the Cubs. I think a lot of people wanted to see them do well, so see what they can do in the playoffs. Browns such a a talented, fun offense, and I just want to touch on this AFC playoff is going to be very fun to watch because you got teams Cleveland, Pittsburgh, the Colts, Buffalo, Kansas City. You got so many talented teams in the AFC that's just going to bring a lot of excitement to this this AFC playoffs this year. And talk about some Lamar Jackson too. Talk about some great QB play in the AFC. So. It's just kind of wild how many, great quarterbacks are in the AFC. So that's what I wanted to get to today. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in the show. Stay tuned for more clips and more episodes from the show. Till next time, peace.